Coming to you live from the fabulous Mediaplex in downtown Windsor, this is a St. Clair College journalism presentation.
Hi, I'm Erin Agentino, and you're watching Mediaplex News Now. Our top story tonight takes us to the University of Windsor campus, where students are being invited to take a peek at a part of Windsor's cultured past. Stephen Anderson reports.
February is Black History Month, and for Windsor, a city who has played a large role in Black history, it's a time for celebration and awareness. Using a system of secret routes and safe houses in the 19th century, known as the Underground Railroad, many would travel through Michigan into Windsor. In light of the celebration, the University of Windsor is holding its 7th annual Afrofest Week, celebrating Black History Month and its importance to our community.
Raising money for breast cancer research all week, but we have gone to check out some of the events that Afrofest is putting on, and they're terrific, very informative, and it's really a nice, refreshing site.
It's important because I think in Canada we learn about Canadian history. It's also important to know about other cultures that are within Canada, which is Black history. So I think it does contribute to history in general, so we should all learn about it, besides the common names like Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks.
Jasmine Burke Ishmael, head coordinator of Afrofest, wants to do just that. Afrofest includes discussions, local merchandise, as well as fashion shows and dance celebrating Black culture on display at the university. Ishmael says there's more to be expected.
So today we have our awareness conversation, and with us we have the Windsor AIDS Committee, along with the Pedagogy of Action from the University of Michigan and the Women's Center here at the University of Windsor. So the awareness conversation includes a women's panel, and as well as a lot of information on women's abuse, HIV, AIDS, and it's not just for women, but it's for everybody to be educated.
However, Ishmael believes Black History Month is more than just celebrating Black culture.
Afrofest is far more than just celebrating Black History Month, and we are here year-round. However, we do feel like it's very important to be able to utilize the month that we do have to be able to be vocal and to be able to celebrate within our community and to teach our community that it's not just this month that we need.
For Mediaplex News Now, I'm Stephen Anderson.
The 6th annual Artists of Color Art Show is displayed this week at the Mackenzie Hall Cultural Center. Marissa DeBortoli takes a look.
Local art lovers are attending the 6th annual Artists of Color exhibition held this week in Windsor. Beginning in 2008, Artists of Color is a non-profit art group that covers all aspects of art and showcases Black artists' talent in an educational and entertaining style. The Stories We Tell free exhibition runs from February 8th to 18th at Mackenzie Hall Cultural Center. I'm Marissa DeBortoli reporting for Mediaplex News Now.
It's Fat Tuesday, and Windsorites are eating up punchkis by the dozen. The sugar-sprinkled, jelly-stuffed delectables are Polish in origin, and it's been reported that 3 local bakeries will produce over 70,000 donuts combined. The St. Clair College Culinary Club contributed the punchki feeding frenzy by baking their own early this morning. Melissa Russo was on the scene to take a taste.
Hey everyone, it's Melissa Russo here for Mediaplex News Now. It's 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm at St. Clair College's main campus for Mardi Gras. We're going to be making some punchkis in the culinary program's kitchen, so let's go. So we're here in St. Clair College's culinary kitchen with Chris. Thanks for being with us. What's exactly the process of making a punchki?
Well, yesterday we showed up here,
Okay.
and we made 32 kilos of dough. It sat in the fridge overnight to ferment, and this morning we're bringing that to temperature. We're going to run it through this sheeter, cut them into donuts, and fry them, and fill them with luscious goodies.
Okay, so what kind of flavors are you guys doing this year?
We're doing a lemon, a cherry, and a vanilla pastry cream.
This is for the filling?
Yeah.
All right. It's yummy.
According to the college's chef instructor, David Canton, punchkis have long been a tradition.
They're a Polish dessert, traditional not only eaten at this time of the year, but all through the year. It's just become traditional at this point because of Lent. So the idea was to use up ingredients that you were going to deny yourself during Lent or were perishable. So eggs and milk, which go into punchki, which aren't usually in donuts, as well as fruits and sugars and sweet items that you might be denying yourself for Lent. So today was your last opportunity to either eat them or use them.
Yeah, that's why they're so good.
Yep, they're
yeah,
delicious.
500 calories, no problem.
Sometimes 7. 5 to 7, depending on the filling.
And I want to thank the college's culinary program for allowing us to be in their kitchen.
Thanks for coming.
Cheers. For Mediaplex News Now, I'm Melissa Iruso.
Let's go down to the street and take a brief look at the weather. Melissa, how is it outside?
Thanks, Ariana, and happy Mardi Gras. About 1 million people will be pouring into the streets of New Orleans today for the Fat Tuesday celebrations. As for your Windsor weather, we're sitting at about -2 degrees Celsius, but it feels like -7. Tonight you can expect cloudy periods with a temperature of -4. I'll be back later in the show to give you your full weather forecast.
With a few more weeks of cold left to go, St. Clair students are defrosting with some fun activities this week. Melissa Iruso has the story.
Got a case of the winter blues? Get over it. St. Clair College, together with the Student Representative Council, are teaming up to help students get over the cold weather and midterm season with their annual Winter Blues Festival. The 2-week event, running from February 4th until the 15th, features tons of games, prizes, giveaways, a Twitter scavenger hunt, skating, a carnival, and much more. The college's recruitment officer, Ed DeShooter, said he believes the Winter Blues Festival is a great way to raise school spirit during the cold winter months.
It's basically just an event to get students involved, especially on a day like today where it's snowing outside, to get them involved and to get over the winter blues, and we have a wide variety of activities planned.
The events are being held at the college's main campus, Center for the Arts, and Chatham campus. Today the college was giving away hot chocolate and beaver tails. SRC President Carrie Bagley said the events are aimed to brighten students' spirits.
I think it's important because we have an obligation to the students to keep their spirits up, and also encourage them to attend school and be happy and have a safe environment.
So if you're feeling blue, be sure to follow St. Clair College and SRC on Twitter to keep up to date on the Winter Blues events. For Mediaplex News Now, I'm Melissa Iruso.
Fall in, soldier! Our embedded military reporter, Haley Trelout, took a look back in history this weekend. Here's the recap.
Over 100 attendees filled the drill hall of the Major Tilston Armory for its 8th annual military conference. Along the walls of the hall, history collectors and booksellers set up booths displaying various items such as books, guns, and uniforms. Dr. Antonio Rosini said the conference last year was such a success that continuing the program was an absolute priority.
We thought we would pay a homage to the bicentennial of the 1812 war last year. We're continuing because, as many of you know, the war actually ended in 1814. So the appropriateness of the occasion will last for more than 1 year. But we also had the 1943 anniversary, 60 years from the intervention of the Canadian troops in the European theaters, and so that had to be part of the program as well.
The conference started Friday night and continued Saturday morning with Clive Harris, who focused on the war that took place in the skies over London. He said the conference is a great opportunity for locals.
If we don't know where we're from, we're not going to go forward, and history resonates now more than at any time. The internet makes us all historians, and we're coming up to 100 years since the end of the First World War, and that seems like a long time ago. But if I asked you to draw someone from 1450, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between 1450 and 1550. This is actually our history because it's in living memory, and our relatives talk about it. So it's massively important that we pass it down from generation to generation.
Following the presentations, people were given the chance to walk about the venue and listen to performances by the Windsor Regiment Band and the Essex and Kent Scottish Regiment Pipes and Drums. The contributors to this event are pending on next year's topic for the 9th Annual Military Conference. Reporting for Mediaplex News Now, I'm Haley Trelout.
Want to know more about the radio biz? Marissa DeBortoli asks the questions in this week's 5 Minutes With.
Hi, I'm Marissa DeBortoli, and today we're spending 5 minutes with Darren Drouillard, Director of Engineering for Blackburn Radio. So Darren, can you tell us about what your job is?
I handle the technical operations for Blackburn Radio, the local radio company here in town. We have 4 radio stations in the Windsor and Leamington market with the Rock 95.1 and 100.7. We have the country station 95.9 FM. And we have 92.7 FM at Leamington and the Mix 96.7 FM. So I handle all of their transmitter site maintenance, all of the technical equipment maintenance, and all of the computer systems and phone systems for all 4 of those radio stations in 2 cities.
I understand you installed the radio booths here at the Mediaplex. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, when they were looking to build this Mediaplex, they wanted a working radio station, a working radio studio that would sort of exemplify what is used out in industry today. So they approached me and asked me for some advice about building it so that it would be built in a way that the students would be able to come in and use it and learn from it, so that when they got out into industry, there wouldn't be much of a learning curve to learn from what's actually out there. In the past, a lot of television and radio production at schools have been forced to use equipment that was hand-me-downs from old stations. When stations would build new studios and have new equipment installed, they would take their old equipment out that was still functioning and donate it to local colleges or universities, and that's what the students would learn on, which was great, except when the students got out in industry, they found they had been trained on antiquated equipment, and that equipment was not useful for them. They had to learn all over again when they got to work. So what St. Clair was looking to do here is build the studios that would allow them to move directly into industry when they got jobs. So they approached me. I had built 3 radio studios for Blackburn Radio in the past couple of years and wanted to put in the same type of equipment. So what ended up happening is I came in and I built the radio studios here as an exact replica of what we're using at Blackburn Radio. All of the same equipment, all of the same consoles, all of the same newsroom operating systems, all of the same computer systems, so that when they got out of here, students are ready to basically walk into our studios, sit down, and start work right from day one instead of having to go through that learning curve.
So did you go through any type of journalism program when you were going into your field?
Actually, I'm a graduate of St. Clair College. I graduated through the Electronics Engineering Technician program. So I went through to learn to be an electronics technician. Was already working in the field when I started at St. Clair. I went back to school when I was 26 years old, and was already working in a radio station. So I wanted to sort of gain the knowledge I needed for the technical side of operations. I was working in the production department and wanted to get into the engineering side of things. So I went back to St. Clair, got that degree, and that helped me to sort of advance where I was now with St. Clair College. Like with the education I gained at St. Clair College was able to get me through my years of radio work into where I'm now at with Blackburn Radio.
Is there any kind of advice you would give to students who might be coming into work in your field?
Well, one of the big things is that to pay attention to technology, not just what you're learning here at school, which is great, and you're learning on equipment that's going to be used when you get out there, but sort of spend a little extra time on your own and look at forward technology. Because things are changing so rapidly in not only in the broadcast industry, but in any type of industry involving computers, involving electronic equipment, it's important to not only know what you're doing now, but what the future is going to hold in 2 years, 3 years. So have a look at what's out there, what's coming up, and be attuned to that. Because once you get out into the workforce, you may find that some of the stuff that you're used to working on isn't really there right now. You have to stay on top of things. Even now, I've been at this job for 6 years now with Blackburn, having worked for another radio company previous to that. And things have changed so rapidly in the past, even 2 to 3 years, I have to constantly keep up on the evolving technology and what's out there.
I'm Marissa DeBortoli, and we've just spent 5 minutes with Darren Drouillard.
The University of Windsor is making changes to improve enrollment. Tom Morrison reports.
University of Windsor undergraduate enrollment has dropped by 4% since 1994. University President Alan Wilderman wants to make enrollment more appealing for new students. He addressed a crowded lecture room at the Center for Engineering Innovation with a speech called "The Future is Never What It Used to Be." Wilderman said this drop has had a negative effect on funding.
As a result, our university has not been a recipient of additional government funding for a number of years now, with the province in effect saying that we've been under-enrolled and we have to catch up.
Members of CUPE Local 1001 picketed the meeting. They were handing out yellow flyers that said the university is contracting out union jobs. James Keogh, recording secretary for Local 1001, said he hopes this practice will change.
We hope that the university that likes to say that it's committed to social justice and makes it one of its pillars will actually be good to its word and not try to make our local community worse by joining the rush to the bottom that our U.S. counterparts are doing.
Some ways Wilderman plans on improving the university include renewing facilities, establishing a new downtown campus, and creating new programs. The downtown campus is scheduled to be ready in 2014. For Mediaplex News Now, I'm Tom Morrison.
On the ice, a force to be reckoned with. Off ice, advice for life. Reporter Kenton Wolf has the story of how an injured Spitfire can make a difference.
Good morning, everybody.
When he was forced to close his fists, he chose to open his heart. Notorious Windsor Spitfire Ty Bilkey, best known for throwing hits and racking up penalty minutes, gave a presentation at St. Puy Catholic Elementary School, preaching the importance of education. The event, appropriately dubbed Adopt-a-School, was sponsored by Marcotte Funeral Home, which was represented by Suzanne Thibodeau.
The joy it brings them, and also it can inspire them if they're into athletics at school, at least for a day like today, to be able to meet the players and see their talent. So it gives them inspiration.
Also representing the Spitfires was Felicia Krautner, who said Bilkey had already done countless events since breaking his thumb in December. Bilkey's biggest message was loud and clear: have a plan B.
It's important because, like I said, everybody needs a plan B. I know for me, even if hockey doesn't work out, I got my plan B's kind of ideas in there, and I have a plan of what I want to do even if hockey doesn't work out. And it's important for us to give back to the community and let the kids know that we're normal human beings too, and we're not just big thug hockey players. And it's a good program that we have going, and it's been going for a few years now, and it's a good thing to keep it going, and the future looks good for it.
I'm Kenton Wolf, reporting for Mediaplex News Now.
All eyes are on mental health after community partners, the OPP and Hotel Dieu Gras Hospital, joined together to help those affected. Jessica Brisebois investigates.
The stigma surrounding mental health issues is lifting. According to Ontario Provincial Police, the OPP and Hotel Dieu Gras Hospital launched a new community outreach and support team program on February 6th. The COAST program partners an Essex County OPP officer with a mental health crisis worker from Hotel Dieu Gras Hospital to help people with mental health issues and their families deal with a crisis situation. West Region Chief Superintendent John Kane said treating individuals instead of imprisonment is both cost-effective and smart policing.
When I started policing, the practice was in Toronto, as well as a lot of places. We picked the individual up. We were worried about a Form 10. And the result was we took them to the hospital, dropped them off at the door, and hoped you made it back to your cruiser before they made it out the door. And that was the common practice.
Mental health crisis worker at Hotel Dieu, Sherry Metivier, said she and her partner, OPP Constable Byron Hornick, both involved in launching the program, connect a mentally ill individual to the appropriate person to assure some kind of treatment.
People with mental illness oftentimes, if they're depressed or whatever, you can lay out the options, but unless you physically do the move for them, it may never get done.
Depending on the situation, the client receives an assessment and treatment, which may include a psychiatric consultation. She said she uses direct conversation, her ability to listen, and her knowledge of community services available to the client. The COAST team does not respond to 911 emergency calls. The team responds to referrals or through the COAST crisis line. I'm Jessica Brisebois reporting for Mediaplex News Now.
What's the word on sports? Let's take a look at another edition of Sports Talk.
Welcome to Sports Talk. I'm Kenton Wolf, and I'm rejoined today by Rob Benny, and it's been a while, Rob.
It's a pleasure to be back, Kenton. I'm happy to do it.
All right, well, this past weekend was Hockey Day in Canada, and I think the Toronto Maple Leafs bit off a little more than they could chew.
Well, sure, they dumped the Montreal Canadiens by a score of 6-0, but I'm sure you're talking about the Mikhail Grabovski incident towards the end of the game there with Max Pacioretty.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this was a little bit of a miscommunication on one side. I mean, I don't think Grabovski went out of his way to bite the guy. I mean, we saw the same thing in Vancouver a couple of years ago when Burroughs allegedly bit Mark Recchi. But clearly, you can't stick your hand in a guy's face and expect him just to leave it there.
Well, sure, it was a scrum towards the end of the game, and Max Pacioretty grabbed him from behind and was giving him basically a neck armbar, stuck the glove in his mouth. And while I don't condone biting in a hockey game, I mean, there's really nothing you can do there. If your guy's got his glove in your mouth, it's tough to breathe. You got to get it out of there by any means necessary.
All right. Well, the New York Islanders and Boston Bruins made headlines this past weekend when they traded Tim Thomas to the Islanders from Boston. And Rob, do you think this is a little bit of cap circumvention?
Oh, absolutely. I can't even believe the league permitted this deal to go through. Tim Thomas, in a self-imposed exile, he's semi-retired right now. He's got 1 year left on his deal with the Bruins now with the Islanders. And he said, you know what, I'm going to take this year off and spend some time with my family. So the Islanders picked up $5 million in free cap space. They don't have to pay that money to Tim Thomas since he's currently suspended for not reporting. And it's just getting them over the salary cap floor artificially.
I mean, yeah, I don't think there's any way this can go wrong for the Islanders. I mean, if he comes back, it's a great goalie for them. And if he doesn't, then the worst case scenario is that they get over the cap floor.
Well, and they didn't even give up anything to get him either. If all it is just a free $5 million cap hit on their books, they don't have to give up anything to the Bruins. The conditions of the deal where they give up a second-round pick if Thomas ever returns, which he's not going to. So a little bit of cap play by the Islanders and by the Bruins. Bruins get some money off their books, and the Islanders get some free cap space.
A team who could really use a goalie right now is the Washington Capitals, and I think it's well documented their struggles right now, and I think it starts and ends with Alexander Ovechkin.
Well, sure. His point totals have gone down every year for the past 4 years, and looking like they're going to do so again this year. He's actually on pace to score less than 30 goals this year, which is absurd by his pretty lofty standards. He had 65 goals a few years ago, and this is a guy that might not break 30, like I said. So not all his fault, obviously. He's been playing on a line with guys like Jay Beagle and Joey Crabb recently, which, I mean, you're Alexander Ovechkin. You don't play with those guys. Those are fourth-line guys. You play with Nick Backstrom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a guy who dominated the league for 4.5 years. I mean, what he did in the game of hockey is completely unheard of. I mean, he dominated in physicality, scoring, playmaking, the power play. I mean, this guy literally did everything for his team. Is this just a case of his body wearing down?
Well, yeah, he was an animal on the ice. He did absolutely everything for that team. Just played the game with kind of a youthful exuberance in the way that you want to see the game played. Maybe the body is breaking down. He is only 27, so that'd be kind of tough to imagine. The skill set looks like it's still there. It's got to be a case of puck luck, playing with line mates that he's not used to and who can't keep up with them. I think we're going to see Alex Ovechkin come back and tear it up.
All right, thanks for joining me, Rob.
Happy to do it.
This has been Mediaplex Sports Talk. I'm Kenton Wolf.
I'm Rob Bennion.
Both the male and lady Saints faced off against opponents Sunday, and both ended their season on a sour note. Mom Duel Shami reports.
The St. Clair Saints volleyball teams played their final games of the season February 10th. The Saints hosted a doubleheader of men's and women's volleyball against the Sheridan Bruins. With both teams out of the playoff picture, they looked to play spoiler against Sheridan. Veteran player Ali Brecka led the women's team, averaging 2.4 points a game. The women's team played a disappointing game with a score of 0-3. Head coach Chris Brecka says there was no pressure on the players.
We were not in playoff contention, so we felt that the girls should go out there and play without any kind of pressure. They should enjoy themselves, and some of our athletes, it was their last performance at the college level.
The men's team fared better. Led by rookie Connor West, the men won 2 sets but eventually lost 2-3. Head coach Rob Lynch says the team is right where they want to be.
Not too happy because we had a few losses that we should have won. Where we are right now, physically, we're in great shape. We're playing the best volleyball that we've had all year, so we've peaked at the right time. We just didn't get into the playoffs because we missed a few games.
The games were hosted by the St. Clair College Alumni Association. Fans were given free admission and treated to free appetizers and a cash bar. Alumni had the chance to win a 51-inch TV. The Sportsplex, which is set to open in early 2014, will be the new home for the Saints. Reporting for Mediaplex News Now, I'm Mamdou El-Shami.
All right, now let's go back to the corner of Victoria and University to see what Melissa has for our extended forecast. Melissa?
Thanks, Ariana. Let's take a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Wednesday will be partly cloudy with a high of 3 degrees Celsius and a low of -4. Thursday, of course, is Valentine's Day, but don't let the cool weather ruin your plans. A mix of snow and rain will be coming your way, so grab a loved one, a glass of wine, and warm up by a cozy fire. There will be a high of 4 and low of -3. Friday will bring us scattered flurries with a high of -1 and low of -4. You can see more St. Clair College journalism stories on our website, www.themediaplex.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at @the_Mediaplex and like our Facebook page, Mediaplex Canada. From the corner of University and Victoria, I'm Melissa Iruso. Back to you, Ariana.
It's estimated that consumers worldwide spend nearly $14 billion on Valentine's Day. Considering the top gift given on that day, coming in at 47.5%, is candy, that's a whole lot of kisses. In light of Valentine's Day, this week's Health Minute might make you melt. Here's Mamdou El-Shami with more.
Valentine's Day is almost here, so you know what that means. It's time for wine, chocolate, and courtship. I could help you with the ladies, but instead, let's talk about something sweeter, chocolate. Chocolate is a familiar courtship ritual, especially on Valentine's Day. It contains stimulants such as caffeine and serotonin, which makes you feel happy, along with polyphenols and flavonoids. It is also rich in antioxidants, which promote good cardiovascular health. Now, don't go on a chocolate binge just yet, because there is a catch. It's dark chocolate that you need to eat. Yes, the bittersweet cousin of the chocolate family. You see, dark chocolate contains more than double the amount of polyphenols and antioxidants than milk chocolate. Now, too much of anything is bad. Chocolate is delicious and healthy, in moderation. Eating too much will negate its positive effects.
This is for you.
Oh, so as you can see, it's hard to go wrong with chocolate. I'm Mamdou El-Shami, and this has been your Health Minute.
You never know whose story you might hear at Windsor Youth Center. Their newest guest is of the four-legged variety. Maureen Mariampla was there to bring us this report.
The Windsor Youth Center is providing alternative ways to engage homeless youth. When Dora, a certified therapy dog, isn't visiting hospitals or nursing homes, you can find her with the young adults at the center. Board member and volunteer Erica McKenzie says both the volunteers and the youth find Dora's presence calming and therapeutic.
You can tell that there's some kids that just don't want to talk to anybody, but they just want to have somebody there. And Dora's kind of that void for them. And they just sit with her, they share in their sadness, they share in their happiness, and it's just no judgment, no talking, just acceptance. And it's a very powerful thing to see if you really pay attention.
George Bozanich is a founding member and volunteer at the Youth Center. He says some of the challenges the youth face are not only about being able to make ends meet, but also overcoming stereotypes.
The assumption that these kids are violent or drug addicts or just don't want to listen or something like that is a fairly prevalent viewpoint. In my experience here, I've found that to be pretty much completely not true.
About 30 to 50 people visit the WYC a night and will serve about 1,000 meals a month. Bozanich says funding is always a challenge, but the hope is that government initiatives will continue providing young adults with a home away from home, and maybe have the opportunity to spend some time with an understanding furry friend. For Mediaplex News Now, I'm Maureen Mariampla.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Marina Gendron, and you've been watching Mediaplex News Now.
Mediaplex News Now is a production of the St. Clair College Journalism Program.